Yo, what's up family, it's your boy Legend. And I'm back with another video. What if Naruto was the last god of Shinobi Part 5? The like goal is 6 likes, but if we can get 10 that would be nice. Drop a sub while you're at it. But now let's get into this intro so we can start this what if. The afternoon light filtering through the Hokage's tower was golden, yet the room Naruto stood in was anything but warm. Hiruzen Sarutobi sat at his desk, his fingers interlocked beneath his chin, eyes sharp beneath the shadow of his hat. To his right stood Jiraiya, arms crossed, looking uncharacteristically serious. On the Hokage's left, Ibiki Morino lingered near the wall, his heavy coat and darker presence pulling the room deeper into focus. And directly in front of the desk, standing straight with arms behind his back, was Naruto Uzumaki. Only 13, yet already a special Jonin. You handled yourself well, Naruto, Hiruzen said after a moment, his voice smooth but weighted. The way you conducted the preliminary matches, it was composed. Tactical, you displayed your skill without crossing into arrogance. And most importantly, you kept order. HN, Ibiki added with a small nod. You kept the other genin in check. Even when provoked. Jiraiya smirked. Taught him myself. Kid might not act like it, but he's always watching. Learning. The way he dispatched those 4 challengers. Clean, efficient, and controlled. Naruto didn't smile, he merely nodded. Thank you, he said, voice calm. I didn't want to hurt anyone seriously. But they needed to be reminded what rank means. Hiruzen leaned forward. Now, on a more serious note. The tone in the room shifted immediately. Jiraiya's arms unfolded, Ibiki straightened. One of my agents followed Kabuto Yakushi after he withdrew from the preliminary matches, Hiruzen continued. He confirmed what we feared. Kabuto led him to one of Orochimaru's hideouts, just outside the village. It's an underground network with multiple entrances and exits. The statement hung like a cold mist over the room. Naruto narrowed his eyes. And you want one of us to investigate it? Not one of you, Hiruzen replied. He turned to Jiraiya. I want you to take point on this, Jiraiya. 1 week, no longer. Gather intel, map the layout, and observe any movement. If anything seems off, you retreat. Don't engage. Jiraiya gave a slow nod. Understood. Then Hiruzen turned to the corner of the office, to the shadows. Monkey, he said, voice firm. Step forward. From the gloom emerged a figure in an ANBU mask shaped like a monkey. Silent, composed, as he stepped into the light, he removed the mask, revealing short brown hair and a stern but calm face. Yamato. Yamato, Hiruzen continued, you will escort Jiraiya to the entrance. Show him the exact location. Then return. Yamato nodded without hesitation. Understood, Hokage-sama. Naruto raised a brow. That all? Hiruzen shook his head. There's more. While tailing Kabuto, Yamato saw him meet with a Jonin from the hidden sand. He paused, then leveled a serious look at Naruto. I want you to keep tabs on Baki. Quietly, no engagement, just observe. Naruto nodded. Got it. You're dismissed, Naruto. Go home. Rest. You've been on duty since sunrise. Naruto gave a shallow bow. Thank you, Lord Hokage. With that, he turned and exited the office. Outside, the sky was streaked with the first signs of evening. A muted orange stretched across the horizon. It was 5:15 p.m. He'd been working non-stop since morning. Time to go home, shower, maybe sleep. Konoha Hotel, Sand Delegation Quarters. Temari sat cross-legged in the center of the room, her fan leaning against the wall behind her. She wasn't meditating. She wasn't sharpening her weapons. She was replaying a memory over and over in her mind. That boy, that Special Jonin. Naruto Uzumaki. She thought that was his name. The blonde kid with the calm face and the eyes that didn't match his age. The one who had taken on 4 genin, including her brother, and made it look effortless. He didn't taunt them. He didn't posture. He just moved. And they lost. Her eyes shifted to the broken remains of Konkuro's puppet, now laid across the floor like a body awaiting burial. Arms snapped off, head dented. Konkuro cursed again, pacing behind her like a caged animal. I can't believe that bastard destroyed Karasu. Just like that, I didn't even see him move. Temari said nothing. Konkuro growled and kicked the wall. What the hell is wrong with that guy? He's not a kid, he's a damn predator. Temari remained silent. Her mind echoed with the moment Naruto had placed a kunai to Samui's throat, the wind barely stirring his hair. He hadn't even blinked. She didn't know if it was fear, fascination, or something else curling in her stomach. Konoha Hotel, Sound Delegation Quarters. Kin lay curled on her bed, the lights dimmed. Her eyes were glassy, but not from tears. Her mind played the moment again and again. Naruto's voice, his stance, his sheer presence. Zaku sat across the room, arms crossed, scowling. Dosu leaned against the wall, expression unreadable beneath his bandages. Zaku hadn't stopped complaining since they returned. Bruised pride, bruised everything. But Kin's mind was elsewhere. She turned slowly, her eyes falling on Zaku. Once, he had been the strongest among them. In sound, strength meant attraction. But now, all she could see was the way Naruto had handled him. Like an afterthought. And her, he hadn't even tried. He just shut her down with a single jutsu. It was embarrassing, but the way he did it, it was like he wasn't even trying. She curled tighter, hands pressing between her thighs, breath short. Her bottom lip quivered as she bit down, hard. Why couldn't she stop thinking about him? Training Ground 16. The crackle of fire echoed through the clearing as another training post went up in flames. Yugito knee stood amid the smoke, chest rising and falling with exertion. Her hands were still hot with residual chakra. Embers danced at her feet. She hated this. She wasn't weak, she was the two-tails jinchūriki. Elite among her peers, strong, controlled. So why was she burning training posts because of some boy? She didn't even like younger guys. He was what, 13? Yet he was faster, smarter, stronger. And he was calm about it. She grit her teeth. Then yelped as a pair of arms grabbed her from behind. What the? She spun, elbow raised, only to see Samui smirking lightly as she stepped back. What's got you so worked up, Yugito? Yugito turned her face away. I'm fine. Samui raised an eyebrow. You sure? You only burn things when you're upset. Or distracted. Yugito stiffened. She turned slowly, hiding her face beneath her hair. Why did you lose? Samui blinked. What? Yugito stepped closer, against the proctor. You barely tried. Why didn't you push harder? Samui frowned, because there was no point. He outclassed us, everyone could see that. I wasn't going to break my arm proving a point. Yugito clenched her fists. She didn't know why that response irritated her. But it did. Samui tilted her head. Why does it matter so much to you? Yugito didn't answer. She turned, eyes narrowed, and set another training post ablaze. The night air was still as Jiraiya crouched near the base of a towering oak, its bark withered and roots gnarled like ancient fingers clawing at the ground. Yamato had already returned to the village, his mission complete. Now, the Toad Sage stood alone at the entrance of one of Orochimaru's hidden lairs, a hollowed-out tree that gave off no chakra signature, no hint of the vile secrets buried beneath. Jiraiya's eyes narrowed as he took a cautious step inside. The moment his foot crossed the threshold, the floor gave out beneath him. He fell. Silently. Years of experience allowed him to twist midair and land in a crouch, not a single noise echoing off the dark stone walls. The room he now found himself in was tight, the ceiling low and jagged, the walls covered in damp moss and what looked suspiciously like dried bloodstains. But it was the smell that truly caught him off guard. Rot. A thick, putrid stench curled into his nose and settled in his lungs. It was the kind of smell that haunted a man's memories, foul, clinging, wrong. He pressed forward. The narrow corridor opened into a larger chamber, lit faintly by flickering torches set into the walls. That's when Jiraiya froze. 10 bodies. No, maybe more, strung along the walls by metal hooks through bone, some upright, some sagging in grotesque contortions, all in varying stages of decomposition. Limbs blackened with rot, faces collapsed into themselves, eyes long devoured by time or insects. The walls themselves wept with moisture and blood. He exhaled quietly, his jaw tight. This wasn't just a hideout, it was a slaughterhouse. He made a mental note, inform Hiruzen immediately. But he couldn't turn back just yet. He needed more, proof, evidence, intent. Careful to step around a half-rotted femur lying in the hallway, Jiraiya pressed deeper into the lair, muscles coiled tight beneath his cloak. He activated a low-level detection seal, tracing the ambient chakra in the air. There were recent trails. Orochimaru had been here, maybe not today, but within the last week. And Kabuto, his scent lingered in the air, sweet and chemical. Like disinfectant and steel. Jiraiya kept going. Across the village, the atmosphere couldn't have been more different. Naruto Uzumaki was currently leaning back on his bed, towel draped over his shoulders as water dripped from his hair onto the clean wooden floors of his home. The house his parents left him was modest by clan standards, but warm, lived in. A scroll of seals lay on his desk, half finished. But he wasn't thinking about seals right now. He was thinking about the bank. More specifically, about Araya. It had been a day and a half since he last saw her. The quiet, sharp-eyed woman who worked behind the counter of Konoha's largest bank. She had a way of speaking that made him feel both appreciated and awkward. Naruto wasn't sure why he liked her. Maybe it was the way she actually listened. Maybe it was how she always smiled at him like he was more than just a kid. Or maybe it was her looks. But he was pretty sure it was one-sided. Shikamaru and Shino think she might like me, he muttered aloud to himself, rubbing a towel through his hair. But, I mean, she's 22. Why would she like a kid like me? Still, part of him wanted to go to the bank and pretend he had some kind of issue with his accounts. Maybe a lost savings scroll or a question about interest percentages. Anything to get her talking. But he hadn't mustered the nerve. What he didn't know was that Araya had her own thoughts churning. At first, her interest in Naruto had been shallow. She is broke, barely making ends meet with her meager salary. When she saw that the Uzumaki boy had inherited money from his famous parents, she figured being friendly wouldn't hurt. Maybe she could charm him. Maybe he'd be generous. But things didn't go the way she expected. He never flirted, never boasted. Instead, he asked about her. Not just her job, but her hobbies, her opinions. He thanked her, he listened. And as days passed and conversations grew, Araya started to feel something she hadn't planned on. Genuine affection. She wasn't sure what to do about it. Neither was Naruto. At 6:30 p.m., Naruto finished brushing his teeth, tossed the towel aside, and dressed in a loose t-shirt and shorts. He cracked his knuckles, feeling the exhaustion from the day catch up to him. Tomorrow, he murmured, stepping into his room. Tomorrow I start watching Baki. The Sand Jonin had been seen speaking with Kabuto. That made him suspicious, and Naruto had a mission now. Quiet surveillance, no engagement unless ordered. He glanced at his window, the twilight leaking soft hues into the room. But for now, sleep. He lay back, pulled the blanket over himself, and closed his eyes. A puff of smoke echoed lightly from the other side of the room. His clone stood ready, already dressed and geared. "Scout Baki," Naruto said. "Stay low. Don't get caught. Dispel if it gets weird." The clone gave a quick nod before vanishing through the open window. Outside, the village wind whispered through the leaves. And far from the safety of home, in the depths of a hellish lair, Jiraiya pressed forward through the darkness, unaware that the air behind him was beginning to move. Not with wind, but with breath. But guys, I am ending it here. If you enjoyed, hit that like and sub button, but I'm out and we'll see you in the next video. Stay blessed you all.